Now, I mean, since we're all being honest here, that scene, she said she didn't feel protected, right? So is that also,
Well, ask her.
I mean, I am.
Okay.
Is that your,
Ooh, baby. Listen. Hey, guys, welcome to Little Black But Another One. Have you ever been in a position where you felt like you were in a relationship or a marriage and you felt unprotected? You felt like your partner didn't have your back. They didn't cover you in that immediate moment. Well, this is the video for you because today we're going to be breaking down part two of this particular video. I did part one already. And part two, we're talking about maybe potentially why, some of the reasons why your partner doesn't cover you. And specifically, I'm going to talk more about the men covering their wives, right? Why is it that Clifton, as a husband, quote unquote, didn't protect Joy, his wife, in the situation at Deep Creek? And Deep Creek just represents, they were in a group setting. And unfortunately, there was a bit of a pile on Joy, and she felt like she wasn't covered by her husband to kind of remove her from the situation, right? So I'm going to provide the clips that's going to tell the narrative and the story. But I want you to understand, if you've ever been through a situation where you felt isolated, you felt like you weren't being backed, you felt like you weren't being protected, this is the video for you, because you've probably been looking for that answer as to why doesn't your husband actually cover you? And I'm going to break it down for you. So let me give you a quick summary. One of the reasons I believe, one of the main reasons why I believe that Clifton didn't protect Joy and why husbands sometimes don't protect wives is because if you've ever seen a baby before, nobody questions about the vulnerability of that baby. And the key word here is vulnerability. That child doesn't have to do anything except be a child to know that child is being vulnerable. We associate children with vulnerability. Well, when it comes to relationships between men and women, what men are oftentimes responding to is vulnerability. And they can respond in a negative way or a positive way, right? And in relationships, what men are oftentimes looking for from their partners and their wives is vulnerability. If you're always strong, I'm going to believe you're always strong and you're always good and you can always handle it and you don't need my help. And you know what? If I even get involved, you probably might even come at me for thinking that you don't have it, or you can't be independent, or you can't do it by yourself. And so, husbands, men, we oftentimes respond to that energy. If we're not needed, we won't put ourselves in that situation because we have listened to what you have said. And this is one of the interesting things about the Joy and Clifton situation. I want you to really pay attention and listen. Many people in part one were very happy with the breakdown and they were excited because they understood what I was pointing out, that Clifton didn't necessarily protect Joy. But I wanted to part two because I want you to really listen to why this is actually happening. And hopefully it should help your relationship get back on track and also give you the language or the conversation or the idea and how to talk to your partner, especially a man, when you want that protection, when you want him to cover you, when you want him to back you up. Because there was a structural failure, and we're going to discuss that in part three, talking about Clifton, Joy, and Carmen friendship. That part I'm going to really break down because there was a structural failure in terms of somebody else was involved in a relationship that's causing, cracks to form. But today's episode, we're focusing solely on solving this issue. Why isn't my man or my husband, why isn't he covering you and protecting you? Right? We're going to talk about it and we're going to break it all the way down for you guys as well. All right. But before we do, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. And listen, let's get deep because you know why? We've got to solve some issues.
Deeper.
Righty. Okay, let's play this clip because I want to play further along because there's a lot more that's happening in the situation that needs to be kind of unearthed. Let's go back into this clip here. Let's play this clip.
reflecting or pushing that over here too? You didn't feel protected at Deep Creek by me. So,
All right, I'm gonna pause it there, and the reason why I'm pausing it there is because the first thing has happened. He actually used the wrong words. What do I mean by this? In actuality, when you actually listen to Joy's breakdown, she actually didn't say the words feel. And this is really important because now we're going to talk about facts versus feelings. And what's important about facts versus feelings is that if someone feels as a fact, they're not given any room for maneuvering, right? Now, of course, the way these two actually operate is actually okay. They actually kind of discussed it really well. But if you're in your own relationship, this can cause a major issue. And it does cause an issue between Clifton and Joy. Because why Clifton decides to tackle Joy on this issue is because of what he heard. And I'm going to play it for you what he heard. He said the words feel. If you haven't listened to it, rewind it and go listen to it. He says the words feel, but she doesn't say the words feel. Listen to what she actually says.
And I wasn't protected at Deep Creek.
Pause. The word she said was, I was not protected at Deep Creek. Not that I don't feel that way. Not I don't feel like I'm being protected. I was not. Which states is a fact. It's happened. It is. It definitely happened. And maybe you're screaming at me now saying, Coach, it did happen. He didn't protect her. Look what happened. Pause. Whether you felt like, and then when I'm using felt again, whether you felt like it was a fact or not, there is perception and there are 2 points of view. Your truth is not the only truth in a relationship. If you go into a situation with my truth is the only truth, you are going to ruin your relationship before it even starts. Or if you have got it started, you're probably having issues. Because your first thought of process is, well, my truth is the only truth. It was what happened. Hold on. How I feel is I was unprotected in that moment. Here's what I mean by this. I wanted you to pull me out of the situation. I wanted you to do X, Y, and Z, and that would have made me feel protected. But when you say I was not protected, right? When it involves you and your partner, when they were there with you, right? The first thing that may happen is they're back against the wall. And it looks like it was all over. They're going to put their back against the wall because they're going to be like, hold on, how are you saying it definitely was that way when I didn't see it that way? When you both have a perception in a situation and you say it was, you are saying that you believe, you're saying that your truth dictates both of your truths. And that is annoying for anybody. And it feels like I don't have a say and it feels like I don't have a voice. Do you see what's happening straight away? Right? Now, he uses the correct words after. He says, well, you felt like you weren't protected. And this is really important because where we're going to go, okay, where we're going to go next to, all right, is from here. So let's bring it back round to this point. So I want to be able to
Previously,
In my
here we go. I've gone a bit further then. All right, so I don't want you to miss this. It's really powerful, this next part, right?
you didn't feel protected at Deep Creek
Here we go.
by me.
Oh,
So what would you have expected in Deep Creek for me to do?
For you,
now let's pause it here. Beautiful question. I think it's a great question. I think this is really good. It's opened up the conversation. He asked the question, what would you have wanted me to do? Right? Beautiful question, because now she can actually filter in what would have helped her be protected. Right? And that means that now he's going to know next time how to handle the situation. Great question. What would you have me do in this situation? Now she can answer the question. Now, I want you to pay attention because what's going to happen next is she's going to give her answer. But when she gives her answer, I want you to, when we get to the next clip after this, he's going to respond. And his response and his question to her is going to tell you why he didn't protect her. All right? Pay attention. This is important.
to stop the conversation and take me out of that situation.
As far
Now let's pause it here. I've always said this about us between men and women, right? And I've always said this. Listen, women will blame you when you don't protect, when they'll, sorry ladies, if you're listening to this, I want you to understand this. Listen, it's biblical, okay? All right? Now, Adam deferred his position, so he gets blamed. But when you look at Abraham and Sarah in the Bible, it was Sarah that blamed Abraham for having a child and then causing, and saying that she blamed Abraham for Hagar. Well, hold on a minute. It was Sarah that told Abraham, go and sleep with Hagar and have a child. It was Sarah who was impatient. It was Sarah who wanted to bring the promise to fruition, but she turned around and blamed Abraham. And I've always said this, listen, as a man, there are certain things you have to protect your wife from, irrespective of how they feel. Because in the end, they blame you. It's just it. Now, whether you agree with it or not, I'm talking to the men specifically. They know what I'm talking about, right? If you don't, this situation, like she just said, she's going to turn around and say, why don't you pull me out of the situation? And I'm telling you this because what she's going to say later on is, well, I knew I should have got out of there. I was accountable. I said, I should have got out of there. But what if I couldn't get myself out of there? I wanted you to do it for me, huh? So you wanted to defer your position and defer your your responsibility and your power to remove yourself from a situation. You wanted me to do what you should have done. Right? And this is why I said that as men, sometimes when women tell you, oh, no, I don't. No, you sometimes you have to tell them, listen, stop. This ain't going no further. And I know you may feel some way. I know you want to get involved. I know you want to talk. Stop. Because if you don't stop, it's going to be an issue later on. Do you know how we know this? Jamie and Arena had a similar situation. I think it was last season or this season. At the very beginning of the season was. I think it was last season. And Arena was going off at the group and Jamie told her, stop. And she said, no, I'm going to keep talking. And he said, stop. Right? Now, she was really angry at him. But the reality of the situation is sometimes as a man, you need to tell your wife to stop. Because in the end, when she gets hyped and emotional and gets vexed and gets some feeling some way, you didn't protect me. No, darling. You run yourself into that situation. But guess who's going to get blamed? Me, because I'm the protector. I'm the lead. I'm the authority in the relationship. And therefore, I have a responsibility. So she's not wrong for turning around to me. But the reality of the situation is she deferred her position. Now, we're gonna get there. Okay, we're going to get there. Let's play a little bit more.
As far as the intuitive conversation.
Yeah, when we were all in a group, I would love for you to just been like, you know what?
Okay, I'm going to let it play a little bit. Sorry. I'm going to let it play a little bit because the part that I want to get to is not there. Okay. Because I don't want to get a copyright strike, right? So let's get it. Here we go.
But after you started entertaining the questions, in my opinion, you kept going. So then I'm like, all right, well, although it was bothering you, you still were entertaining the questions, right?
Pause. And this is where the issues go into lie. This, going back to my original statement about vulnerability, right? What he just said here is the reason why he didn't defend her in that moment. Okay? Now you're probably listening to saying, well, you know, he should defend. Stop. I need to stop and pause. Remember, we watch and we learn and we observe and then we adjust our behaviors to the people that we're in relationship with, right? If you know your husband always does this, are you going to change your behavior suddenly? You're not. If you know he always goes left, you're not about to correct him when he goes left. He always goes left. If your husband always, let's say, watches the football at 2:00 on a Sunday, the moment he doesn't watch it on the 2:00, you're gonna be like, what's going on? You have a routine. There we go. You've established a pattern. Human beings establish patterns. And so when you have a partner as a man, when you're watching a woman, you watch her patterns of behavior and you adjust accordingly, and vice versa. A woman will watch a man and apply her behavior accordingly. And so in the scenario with Joy and Clifton, he's watched her patterns, right? And the patterns have shown, you're good. You don't need me. You can handle it on your own. Do you know how I know this too? Because we saw her on Ready to Love. And we saw her go at men. Not just women, men. Right? So, I saw the way she talked about Demetrius at one point. Like, she was popping off. So when it comes to defending herself, Joy ain't no me. And I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen it personally. So when I say that Joy can, and when I say pop off, defend herself very easily. So when someone's so gifted in the area of defending themselves, right? It's hard for the other party to see the vulnerability because you're always defending yourself. So until you communicate that you want me to do this, don't put the blame on me. And here's how she put the blame on him. Once she said, I was not protected, she put the blame on him. And he picked it up. Because immediately, he was like, wait, hold on a minute. What do you mean? Like, how you going to say you're not protected when you handled what you handled? Suddenly now you're turning it on me as if I'm the issue. I didn't protect you when you handle what you handle. Do you see the confusion? So when you want that man to maneuver and to come and protect you, what signals are you sending him? What are you sending him to let him know that you want to be protected? Because if you're always somebody that always handles things, and some of you don't even realize that you're in that mode of thinking. You always handle things. I always have to handle things, and you've heard yourself say it, right? But I always have to handle things. Yeah, well, then sis, then I want you to understand that probably you're doing the same thing in your relationship. I always have to bring a solution. Well, don't give a solution then. Give somebody else the opportunity to step up. But you don't. Well, if I don't do it, then no one else will. Well, that's your problem. You feel like if no one else does it, then it won't be done. But you have to learn how to sit and rest in your femininity. You have to learn and rest to say, actually, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna step up to the plate. I'm gonna let him have the room to step up. And if he doesn't, then let me have a conversation with him and say, hey, look, you know what? I want you to step up. I want you to be able to do it. So I'm gonna take my step back. But too many people oftentimes take a hold of the reins. They're too used to being in a position of power where they get things done and execute and then complain when people don't support them. We can't support you if you're always in a position of executing. You need to step back. Step back. I don't get a man that doesn't pay the bills. I don't get a man that wants to pay for dinners and dates. Step back. Your energy is telling me that you want to execute. Step back. Learn how to rest. Let that person step up. Yeah? Okay.
So then we all make certain choices. Now, any other time if I say stop doing something, you listen to me?
We've never been in that kind of situation.
I'm just saying in general.
Pause. And that is the light bulb moment right there. Did you hear the question? The question was actually a leading question. The question, I'm going to replay it again for you. I'm going to replay it for you again. I want you to pay attention. Listen to this. The question is a leading question, okay?
Certain choices now.
All right? Look what he's going to say. Let me just rewind it slightly because I want to just get to this part here. All right? I want you to really listen to what he's going to say, okay? Because the devil is in the details, okay? All right? You know, we're Christians there, but hey.
We're entertaining the questions, right? So then we all make certain choices. Now, any other time if I say stop doing something, you listen to me?
We've never been in that kind of situation.
I'm just saying in
Pause. Now, the question is very important. He says, listen, on any other occasion, when I tell you to stop, do you stop? It's a leading question because it's not an open one. It's not telling you, in other situations. No, he's saying, no, in other situations, if I tell you to stop, have you stopped? He's talking as if it's happened. Like, in other situations, if I've told you to stop, have you stopped? And what was her immediate answer? It wasn't a yes. That told me straight away that you don't stop. And that's why he didn't protect you. Because you've always got it. If you've always got it, why do you want me to now step in? If you don't allow me to step in and be the man I need to be, I handle it. I thought you got it. Because remember, he said, you answered all the questions. You were taking on the questions. And I watched that clip. You were going at black. You were handling it with Cheryl. You were handling it with Ashley. Yeah, and it might have been overwhelming. And maybe other people are watching going, well, a man should defend his wife. Hold on, pause. A man should also understand what kind of woman he's with. Just like a woman should understand what a man is with. Right? The Bible says, dwell with women according to knowledge. So if I acknowledge the fact that you always handle things, and if I tell you in previous occasions, don't do this, and you go and do it, don't expect me to now cover you. I can't, because you've told me that you got it all the time. You won't allow me to step in that position. So you can't now feel unprotected, or rather I should say, you can't state I didn't protect you when I've been trying to tell you so I can protect you and you wouldn't allow me. Now, Carlos missed this because he jumped immediately for Joy's side. And this is what happens when I'm coaching couples. And by the way, if you want to get coaching, by all means, sign me up, because I see both sides. I've done part one, I've done part two. I'm not biased in when I'm looking at this, because I understand there's a voice for both the man and the woman. In this situation, he let her know quite clearly, hear my voice, I'm trying to tell you something. Here's the devil in the details. That's what you missed. That's the details in the contract that will get me to move. A man is shifted and moved by action. When Eve wanted to move Adam, it was moved by action. She didn't say eat the fruit. She gave him the fruit. So when you move, I'm going to move. I'm moved by your actions. So if you don't give me that perspective where you're going to let me know that by your energy, by your behavior, that you want that protection, guess what's going to happen? For a lot of men, they're not going to respond. And they'll do it for another woman. And you'll ask, why can't he not do it for me, but he did it for other person? It's because of you. Your energy. Now, there are some men, and I want to pause it right here. There are some men, okay, who won't defend anybody. You're bastards, right? But clearly you care about your partner, because you're here watching this video trying to get him to change. So you care about your partner, and he clearly, obviously, potentially cares about you too, right? So they're not that bastard that doesn't care about you, all right? And I use the word bastard because they're used in the Bible, okay? So in this situation, right? He is going to be moved by the words. And by the way, if you want some coaching, reach down in the description box. Shout us out. We're not charging for the coaching. When I say that's a lie, I'm telling a lie. We are charging, but we're not setting a price. So it's whatever you feel the coaching is worth. Okay, all right. It's whatever you feel the coaching is worth. Let's get back in because we've got a few more minutes. Let's put this in.
In general.
Yes.
So then what it looks like to me
Hold on,
is
let's
like,
go back,
I'm
sorry.
the time if I say stop doing something, you listen to me?
We've never been in that kind of situation.
I'm just saying in general.
Yes.
Now, the fact that she answered the question by said, we've never been in that situation, tells us it's not a yes, darling. Okay. She said yes after the fact. And in fact, she said yes after being asked a second time. And it's funny because I'm going to do part three. When I do part three, the same issue that Joy is having with Clifton is the same issue she had with Carmen, right? In the sense of the same way she answered this question by not really being fully honest, she knows where he's going with that question, right? I don't feel like she's being all the way honest when she answered that way, because I think she understood where the question was going to. And it's funny because I think Carmen does the exact same thing to her when she asks Carmen a question about respecting the relationship, and Carmen does the exact same thing Joy does, which is she wiggles around and then after the fact says yes. When really and truly we know by your first answer, that's not what you actually mean. So when Joy doesn't give a first answer of straight away yes, right, it tells us that that's not your natural inclination. So what he's saying seems to hold some weight, that when he asks you and says, hey, look, pull back, don't get involved, don't jump in, you don't listen. And when you don't listen, I'm not your dad. So this is not a learning curve where I'm going to keep doing it. If I'm your partner, after a while, the person's going to get tired and be like, actually, you know what? All right, handle it then. You deal with it. I'm not going to jump in for you. You go and do it then. Right? And that's where we get this point.
So then what it looks like to me is like I'm to blame for not stopping the
No, baby,
conversation.
it's not a blame. It's not a blame. I said.
And now this is why he feels the blame. See, this is what's going to happen. That's going to cause more issues in your relationship as an argument, because when someone feels like they're to blame and they feel guilty, they struggle to come before you. And they're going to fight even harder, tooth and nail. And now they're not going to hear what essentially you're saying, because really and truly, I actually understand what Joy is really saying, right? Because she's going to let us know what she wanted from that scenario in a second or two, right? What she wanted was to be pulled out of that situation. As he said it before, she wanted to be pulled out. She didn't want to be in that situation. But the reality of the situation is, when you said it, you said, I was not protected. So you were issuing blame because you're saying that's a fact. And the fact is, I didn't protect you, which means I'm wrong. And so a judgment gets issued by the other party. Now, of course, the person who's going to receive it is going to judge what you've said, and they're going to have to determine by that. But that can quickly turn into blame for the other party. Now, that's not what Joy was intending, but do you see how language is very important, and why I'm saying facts versus feelings? Where saying, listen, how I felt is, it may not have looked like that, but how it felt like was that I was unprotected. Right? And your feelings are valid. See, that's the beautiful thing about feelings. Your feelings are valid and they can be validated. Yeah? But that doesn't mean that's necessarily the truth of the situation or either party's perception. So leave room for the perception from both sides, so that there's not an argument about whether what this is the truth or not. This is just about my feelings, and I want to feel protected. Here's how I can feel it. Right?
I even said it. We even said it with Arena. I was like, I should have stopped it. But I know that if I drop the ball, if maybe I don't even have that in me to do it, I know right here, my right hand, like.
Now, what she was saying here is, hey, look, you know what? I should have done this. I dropped the ball. So then how did I not protect you? Do you see why he asked her the question? No, and this is what happens a lot of times in relationship. When I'm coaching couples, I get them to say it again. I'm like, did you hear what you just said? When I coach singles, I said, did you hear what you just said? Because a lot of times we don't hear what we said until someone replays it back to us. We think we're right and we're fighting until someone goes, no, did you hear what you said? And this is why sometimes it's important to ask qualifying questions. This is why it's important to listen and then repeat what the person said to them back, so that you make sure that, is this what you're actually saying? Are you saying to me that you felt unprotected, which is what you asked in the beginning? Now, she just said to us, she knew she should have stopped, but didn't stop, but expected him that when she didn't stop, he would pull her out. How? If I know your behavior is you've always got it, how would I know on this occasion this is the occasion for me to pull you out? How would I know? How would I know? Someone might say, read my facial language, but how would I know if that's always your facial expression? How would I know? See, communication is needed here so that the other party can also then begin to act on your behalf. I cannot act on your behalf when I've spent time with you. Now, the only thing that maybe Clifton could have done was, again, ask a question. Hey, look, are you okay here? Right? But I understand that in relationships, when you get to learn people's behaviors, you're not going to ask every single time, are you good? Are you good? It gets annoying too. No, you know I'm good. I can handle myself. Well, then why would I keep asking you're good? That gets irritating too. Right? So the situation here is why it's at the point it is again because she said it was, right? Okay.
It's not blame. It was just a need That's it. It's not blame.
Yeah, I don't think, and listen, I don't mean to interrupt this. I really,
And again, and I know Carlos was trying to help, but he didn't actually help because he actually took on the woman's side and didn't explain how the man also feels. And this is where coaching, and this is where relationship therapists get into trouble because they take one side of like, I understand what the woman's saying without understanding what the man is saying, and then that man don't want to come to the coaching, don't want to come to the therapy anymore because all we understand is a woman's perspective. All we understand is what woman feels like, and that becomes an issue. Then there's no real mediator here. There's only a person on your side. So importantly here, right? Importantly here, what he was actually looking for, more than likely, what I'm gonna state potentially was looking for, is accountability. That's why he was saying to her, we all make certain choices. And so what he was looking for is accountability. Take account of the fact that you made this choice. Don't blame me for the choice you made. You can't turn around and blame me for the consequences of your own actions and then say I felt like I was unprotected when you were going off and you went off and didn't ask me to cover you. And in previous situations, you've not allowed me to cover you. So in that instance, take accountability. Since you were so strong before, don't now flip it. And here's the reality of the situation, right? Like I always say, I don't want to say like I always say, but let me say this, like, as a woman, I see joy and I can understand. And I also, this is why the intuitive woman was trying to get at Joy, trying to get her to understand. But Joy shut it all the way down. That shutdown that she did is actually what's propagating here. The inability in that moment, like you said, like you knew that you should have handled it differently. You should have got out of there, gone out of the place, right? And left it as it is. But then if you allowed the intuitive woman to really kind of ask some questions and dig in a little bit deeper, you'd have found yourself in a place where vulnerability again. Joy doesn't do vulnerability. So as soon as that woman started asking questions, Joy shut it all the way down. Bam, 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 bam. Again, you're not really showing that vulnerability. And the woman was trying to prod at you, trying to get you to be vulnerable. I'm not going to be vulnerable. Well then, again, you've shown us again that you've got it handled. Right? No one can cover you when you always cover you. Do you see what I'm saying to you? If you're always covering you, I can't cover you. If you're always going to leave underneath my authority and do whatever you want to do, how can I cover you? So this is me telling you, for ladies, from the male perspective, to make you understand. Look, there is parts that he did wrong. Like the Carmen situation, we'll address that in part 3. The Carmen friend situation is a problem. It's a big problem. And his passivity towards it is an issue. But this situation with Joy and Clifton in this scenario where she wanted to be protected, in this particular scenario, Deep Creek situation, right? You can't, it's something that you can't. Here's what needs to be done. Talk to your partner. Let them know, listen, look, I've taken, and first of all, and men really don't like women don't take accountability. It's the most frustrating thing, right? It's so frustrating. As a woman, do not start the conversation like, I want a protection. Be accountable. If you know you weren't submitting yourself underneath his authority, if you know you don't listen to him, if you know you just do whatever you want to do, if you know you're an independent person and then you do your independent thing and there's a consequence for your action, sit down, take it in, be accountable first. This will lower that man's guard. When he realizes you can say, you know what, I got it wrong, I was sorry, I should have exited the conversation. And by the way, she admitted that she should have done this, right? If she had started a conversation that way, that man will do anything you want him to do. A lot of times women will cause a man's walls to go up when you don't be accountable. When you're doing certain things, you're not being accountable. If she just said, listen, hey, let me start, Clifton, can I be honest with you? I was wrong. I know I went underneath there. I know that, sometimes when you get in these situations, I just go off on one. In future, please, if I'm not handling it the best way, pull me out. She has to give him permission. See, most people don't have to talk about it because their body and their energy tells the other party, the man, that you have permission, right, to cover me. You have permission to lead me. But when you don't give that person permission, you're going to have to voice it. So I would ask anybody here listening to this, have you given your partner permission to cover you? Have you given him permission to lead? Have you given him permission to take control of the situation? Have you? Or are you going to step up to the plate yourself? Are you going to handle it yourself? Are you going to step in his position? Because if you are, you ain't going to give him room to be able to do what he needs to do. Listen to the devil in the details. If you feel like you're not being protected, ask your partner, is there any reason why you don't protect me? Or is there any particular reason why? Not even say that. First off, just say, listen, hi, I feel like I'm not being protected. Let's start with the I feel first. Always I feel. I feel like I'm not being protected, right? Is there any particular reason why you may not protect me? Or even say, listen, hey, this is how I feel. I feel like I'm not being protected. There are certain instances that have happened where like X, Y, and Z, where I felt like I was not protected. That's probably a better way of doing it. So scrap that last part, right? That's a better way of saying it. So that the person can respond. You get what I'm saying to you and go, okay, well, look, here's the reason why, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying to you? Then they can give you the reason. And when they give you the reason, listen. If you get ready to start firing, but when you do that, then you've missed it. Listen, because he's giving you the answer, right? If you ask him why he doesn't do that and he gives you an answer, then tap in a bit more. Ask another question on top of that to get more clarity if it doesn't make sense. But if you and you respond to trying to, no, you're gonna miss it. He's giving you the answer. Take the answer. Okay. All right. Like I said, if you guys want some coaching, listen, I'm here to help couples. I want to help the men and the women. I want you both to get to a place where you can have flourishing relationships. Shout at me, okay? You can book yourself in my calendar with the description box down below. Or if you're a woman or a man, listen, if you're single, in a relationship, shout me. I'm here to help. Much appreciation. Like, share, subscribe, click on the